You want leverage, I'm going to give you leverage. No one in a million years is going to click this side.
Hello world, and welcome back to Gridiron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by two members of the collective, the Disciple, Brett Collson, and Donnie DP Peters. The resident Moose will be joining us at some point, fingers crossed, on the pod. He is currently at a belated Christmas dinner, so shouts to the Nuwwarah family and ho 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 happy holidays. Hope you guys are enjoying the tail end of your holidays as we head into New Year's this weekend and then 2023 right around the corner. The collective did its thing last week. We identified 3 of the biggest leverage spots of the season, I think. Massive. So we're talking 700 spots of leverage. And we went 2-1. You know, if Mo was on here, he would gripe about the Ramondre Stevenson fumble and perhaps having a chance to cover in that Patriots game. But honestly, we were very fortunate to even have a sweat with that pick 6 and that Hail Mary Kendrick Bourne touchdown. Kendrick Bourne, by the way, DP, on here, the only man in America in front of a microphone screaming for Kendrick Bourne, and the guy goes out and has 100 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely legendary stuff.
Best wide receiver on the team.
He's not wrong. Through a one-game sample, Donnie is not wrong. When Kendrick Bourne is used and has Hail Marys batted to him, he is absolutely elite. Go ahead, before we get into any more of Week 17, go ahead and ring that bell. Subscribe to the Lines US YouTube page. Leave us a comment, like this video. Listeners, go ahead and subscribe to your podcatcher of choice while the regular season is winding down to an end. And Week 18 will be the last video for Gridiron Gamble. We will continue through the playoffs, throughout the big game, giving you our leans throughout the playoffs. We were looking for leverage last week. We were sifting for leverage last week. We are now, even though we went 3-2 last week, we are now in full leverage mode. So buyer beware. This is an exercise where we are trying to get now into the money in Circa. We are currently 4 spots out of the money. We need to make up that amount in 2 weeks.
4 points.
4 points, excuse me. Yeah. Which seems, the average listener out there might be, 4 points. You string together a couple of good weeks. The problem is, fellas, ladies, boys and girls, is that on average, you score around 2.2 to 2.5 per week in this contest. So not only do we need to go 10-0 these next 2 weeks, but we need to do so finding some leverage spots where very few people select the team that we're on, and a lot of people click the team that we are trying to fade. So I'll tell you what my process was this week, and shouts to Brett. Brett made an amazing point in the group chat where we should be ranking games that have a hook higher than games that are on flat numbers, because we need the full point. We can't be getting half points. We need those full 10 points over the next 2 weeks. So this is my process. And Donnie, I can't wait to hear him yell at me because apparently I screwed it up. I clicked every single side that I thought was going to have fewer people click it. That was the first thing I did. The second thing I did is that I sorted it by the top half was games with the hook. The bottom half was games with flat numbers. And then I actually went in and thought, which one of these teams is actually going to cover, and rank them by confidence that way. Brett, what was your process heading into Week 17 here?
I mean, that's probably the way to do it. I had a hard time figuring out where leverage was going to be in some spots, though. So maybe you guys we can talk our way through that. But
well, Donnie apparently knows, because Donnie came in hot, just screaming at us because 3 of his lone wolves apparently are the blind obvious leverage side. DP.
Yeah, well, 2 of them are probably coin flips, but one of them I think for sure you're wrong on, or you guys are wrong on. I did a similar process to you, Rich, although I kind of left out the last part, and I just really ranked it where I think the leverage is going to be.
Fair enough. No, I should add that even within, I should add, there was a 4th. If you're sorting in your Excel, if you have your custom sorts in there, there was amongst the teams that I think are going to cover, which is going to get the most leverage within them. And we'll start with split games. And these are 2 games that absolutely nobody had an opinion on. So we're definitely going to buzz right through these. The first one is Bears at Lions. A look ahead of 6.5, opens 5, and then ticks right back up to 6 in favor of the Lions. A double roar contest. And two teams that I think the public has been enamored by. The Lions went through a stretch there where they were beating everybody, covering every game. And then the Bears, of course, have Justin Fields, who, despite throwing some of the worst backbreakers you've seen this season, he's also made some of the best scramble plays as well, finding daylight when there's only an inch or so to see it in front of him. Nonetheless, we had to pick the game. Coins came up on one side or the other, and we'll start with, I guess Mo's not here yet, so we'll start with Brett, who had the highest opinion amongst us three, taking the Chicago Bears and the points. Take it away, Brett.
Yeah, I mean, no play for me here because it landed on the 6, and we can't afford to get a push in this spot, but it just feels like a big number for the Lions to cover with that defense against Justin Fields, who can break a game open with one play, like you said. That said, this could just be Lions by 30, because outside of Fields, the Bears probably have the worst roster in the NFL right now. And the Lions, I still think, are like that fringe top 10 team that could just explode offensively any given week. And it could be this week against the Bears. So again, no play. It's a game that we can't put on the card. We just can't do it.
I think in real life, Bears plus the money, Bears money bet line even has some value. I'm going to keep railing against this Lions team that Brett thinks is good. I think defensively, the Lions have issues where Justin Fields can succeed. Speed at linebacker is certainly one thing. They have a lot of, they have two specifically, Anzalone and Rodrigo of Hard Knocks fame, are definitely more flat-foot linebackers that can get dusted by Justin Fields if he gets loose. But when I ultimately looked at leverage here, I just think there's been so much support for the Lions, even though they got their teeth kicked in last week, that I think people will find a way to lay the points with Detroit in the contest and fade a Chicago team that, let's be honest, looked awful last week against Philadelphia, despite looking scrappy to start the game. But ultimately, DP, why I didn't have a real strong opinion either way, is that I think neither side in this contest garners more than 300, 400 clicks, especially on a full 15-game slate, removing Thursday night football. But DP, tell us why you think more people are going to click Justin Fields than the Bears.
I think the contest is weird. I think people have sort of a hate towards the Lions, kind of similar like you do. I don't necessarily agree with you or Brett in that regard, but I think people kind of look at the Lions and think they're a little bit overvalued right now, and people want to really love this Bears team, and they're going to see the Bears team getting 6, and they're going to like that side. Ultimately, though, I agree, we can't put this on the card, can't be anywhere near the card, and it won't be, so that's a good thing.
The Lions just got smoked last week, so I don't know how overvalued they could possibly be right now.
Yeah, that was
I think in the general sense, people are like, they kind of in love with what they've done, I don't know, last 6, 7, 8 weeks, like offensively, stuff like that, but I think the contest is going to look at it the other way and be like, no, they're the team from last week, let's fade them again, type of thing.
That was a stinker too last week. It wasn't one of those games where it was close and then the Panthers pulled away. I mean, the Panthers were absolutely bullying the Lions on the ground. A Lions team that wants to play run-D. They are a pass funnel team. They're designed to force you to throw the ball because they're stout up front, and the Panthers did not care. 200-yard backs in the first half. That was absolute bully ball by Carolina. The next game is a AFC South tilt between another double roar. Jaguars definitely make that sound. Texans, maybe one day we'll make that sound. Another split contest, of course, another game with not a lot of opinion. And once again, believe it or not, Brett, because this is Donnie and I's 1-pointer, you have to pick up the shield as a 2-pointer and tell us why you clicked the Jags in this spot as road favorites, laying 4 points against a Texans team that just keeps on covering.
Yeah, team professional pride. It's actually amazing what the Texans are doing. All season, they've been kind of like in it every single week.
I told you guys. Lovie Smith was not going to go out there and just roll over dead. And it's funny, that I had to sweat this 1.5 the whole season because they were just competing against good teams, taking KC to overtime, having the lead against.
Yeah, but the problem is that they suck.
Well, of course,
it doesn't matter how good you are when you actually just suck.
They were always.
Yeah, they could have won 5-6 games though.
Exactly.
Could have.
When we look at their
two.
I'll pull up their Pythagorean here. But yeah, I'm assuming it's well over 2 right now.
Yeah, but some of that's a factor of the other team not showing up because it's the Texans.
Well, yeah, that's kind of part of the cap, though.
I mean, I know, but
people are going to be sleepy.
I know, but like you would see the Texans at their absolute peak in these weeks, and you would see the other team going through the motions, and they still can only get to 2 wins because they are so bad, so bad.
They are definitely as bad as possible.
Can we talk about the Jags for a second?
Yeah, go for it. Let's have a meaningful discussion about a Jaguars team that, with Tennessee now, multiple people on IR, season absolutely tanking, will probably have a home playoff game in a few weeks' time.
Yes, and they will be heavily favored next week, we assume, right? That said, there's still a slice of a chance they could get the wild card spot too. So like if you have a non-zero chance of making the playoffs in 2 different ways, why? Like I keep hearing this week that the Jags are just going to lay down and like this game doesn't matter for them at all, but it kind of does. Like I don't think they're going to come in here and just not care and like sit Trevor Lawrence in this. I think they're going to try and win this game. I don't think they're going to try and put this game away in the second half. So like I don't see this being a game that the Jags don't care about. I think this has actually quite a bit of meaning to them.
Are there wild card? I don't know what their wild card odds are. I can't speak to those. Do you know them offhand? If not, I can go into a little bit of an anecdote about Peterson, who has been adamant all week about his guys playing. They're going to treat this like any other game. But if you'll think back to when he was the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, he said the exact same thing going into the final game of the season. And what was it? David Fales? Was it Fales that started at quarterback? I mean, it was the tankiest of tank jobs from the Eagles in the last week of the season. Brett, I think you did some typing there and pulled out some odds for me.
Yeah, so according to 538, the Jaguars have a 74% chance of making the playoffs. 1% of that comes from a wild card.
Yeah,
chance. So it's
Peterson math ball.
Still there.
It's still there, he said. You're saying there's a chance.
I'm looking at what they need to happen, and it's all very plausible. It's just like it's a super parlay is all. It's like 6 or 7 different things that need to happen. So.
Yeah, I think this is just math ball from Peterson. Get the guys rested. They're coming off extra rest anyway, so you'll get basically a mini bye, then a bye. You come back full strength against a Titans team that is just reeling. Get them at full strength and just beat them and win the division. So I'm fine with it. 1%. Brett out here
what did we see the Jags do to the Colts last year? I'm just like...
This is true.
Weird things happen.
But that was Carson Wentz. And maybe Fraud Reich. Maybe a fraud. I think Peterson's a bit better. DP, anything to add on this contest that could be the backups of the Jaguars against the Texans, who, by the way, I looked it up, 3.0 Pythagorean wins so far. Come on.
I got nothing to add here. I took the home dog. I mean, I don't know what to say. I looked at it. I said home dog. I remembered Rich saying something how we're really good with home dogs this year. So I said, oh, that's the side.
Nearly 70% on the card.
Titans are going to lose by 40 tonight, by the way. This is ugly.
I saw it was 7-0.
It's 10 now, and Dobbs just fumbled, recovered by Parsons.
Boy, Dobbs. I mean, they're done with Malik, right? It's over. It's done. Like
Dobbs probably gives them the best chance to win.
No, but I mean, like,
yeah, but Malik,
it's over with. Like, Malik might not be on the roster next year. I mean, he's a third rounder, right? I mean, third rounders get cut all the time.
But Malik, isn't his like skill set? Isn't he a guy that you just like work on in camp for 3 years and then possibly unleash at some point? I mean, I don't feel like he was ever ready to be launched into the NFL like now.
I just don't think it works like that, though. It's hard to carry 3 quarterbacks when it comes to roster construction. And you need your backup to actually have some clipboard delta where break glass in case of emergency that they can play football. So I just don't know if it works.
Okay,
like that.
but then why did you draft a guy like that?
Well, you take a shot.
Why would you draft a project if you weren't gonna? I don't know if he's the guy you take a shot on.
Well, you take a shot and then you
like Trey
bail
Lance
after
feels
year.
like a shot take.
Well, that was insane because they traded. What are the Niners going to do? Now they got something Purdy.
Clearly, they're just going to go with Purdy. I mean,
think
this feels
Why
like a
do they even
dream for them.
draft a quarterback?
What does
pick someone
Purdy
up.
even make? What does Purdy make? $30,000 a year?
Yeah.
I mean, what? Like,
That's one of those where you don't want to get drafted if you're Purdy, right? You want to be on the undrafted free agent contract that you can break and then re-up for another one. But I floated this out, and then we'll go to Lone Wolves after this. I floated this out to a shout to Joe Caporoso, the best Jets content out there on Twitter. Does a premium podcast called Badlands with Connor Rogers, who does stuff for NBC and SNY in New York. Just great content if you're a Jets fan. I floated it out there. What if we bought Trey Lance low? Wouldn't that be fun? If the Niners are ready to bail, they're happy with Jimmy G, happy with Purdy. What if you can get Trey Lance for like a third or a fourth? Let's go. Let's have some fun. Let's go for the absolute peak. One time. I'm getting looks. So that means we're headed over to the Lone Wolves.
Why would you do that?
It's a gamble. Why not? Cole, I'll give you a gamble.
I think I'd rather gamble on Mike White.
Well, yeah, Mike White is for sure. Barring a blockbuster trade, please, Lord, don't trade for Derek Carr for the love of everything holy. Roll out Mike White. Bring in Jacoby Brissett. Let's go. 2 vets. All right, Lone Wolves. What timing from the Moose to join us for the Lone Wolf segments with his KC red on. Mo and DP are the only two with Lone Wolves this week, and we'll start with DP, who has a trio, including one in his top 5. It's a double sounder game. Caw-caw! Caw-caw! Let me hit it again. And Donnie, is Arizona at Atlanta one of the games where you were apoplectic that we did not click the leverage side?
Yes. How are people honestly going to look at this line and say, yeah, the Falcons should be 3.5 point favorites? They're going to see that and snap click the Cardinals.
I don't know.
You're right. No, you're right.
Yeah, so who's clicking? Who's going to click the Falcons?
Is he right? I think this is a 50-50 split, if anything, and nobody is clicking this game. You think people are lining up to click Colt McCoy?
They definitely should. Yeah.
This line is wrong. Like this was my number 1 play, but I moved it down my board because we're on the wrong side of the leverage for sure.
What if Desmond Ridder's good?
He's not. Not right now. He's not. You can't lay 3.5 to 4 points with Desmond Ridder. You can't do it.
I tend to agree, but I just...
Well, that's why people are going to see this and be like, this is insane.
Did they not just watch Nook have 10 targets and catch 1 ball, though? Is that not a sour taste in their mouth that Colt that even a swig of Colt McCoy can't watch?
Who was the QB in that game? McCoy's been halfway decent with the Cardinals.
I don't know. Really? I feel like he's been bad in primetime, too. People have laid eyes on Colt McCoy being awful.
Mo, how many points is Colt McCoy worth over McSorley?
He's got to be worth something.
McSorley's the worst quarterback to ever lace him up.
McSorley is as bad as a quarterback gets. So when you're as bad as a quarterback gets, somebody else has to be better than you. I can't understand how he got another contract. We saw how bad he was. He came in a couple times for the Ravens and he could not get a yard.
McSorley versus Luton on neutral.
That's tough. That's tough. Luton might actually complete a couple passes, but McSorley might actually run for a couple first downs.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely styles makes fights. Depends on what defenses we got on the other side. I think most importantly, I don't think anybody's clicking this game. I really don't. I think this is low on both sides. Who's lining up to take this Cardinals team with a lame duck coach and Colt McCoy at quarterback?
They might not be. If they're not, then I love the Cardinals.
Nobody.
Even though it won't be leverage for sure. Like Brett said, even if it's both low, there's going to be more people on the Cardinals. Nobody is laying it with the Falcons. Nobody.
Fair enough. All right, we'll go to this. You're wrong about this one, DP. This is Jesse Martin, 100% you're wrong about the leverage when it comes to Vikings at Packers. Nobody respects this Vikings team, DP. Nobody is clicking them.
Then why are the Vikings like top 7 in the contest every single week?
Well, what about
Going
the team
back
they're
to
facing?
Like week 4.
What about the team they're facing? Did you look at the team they're facing?
Yeah, the team they're facing is not that high. I mean, might be as high as them, but like a lot of times you see the Vikings games are both like really high, which provides really no leverage, or the Vikings are high.
To me, this goes back to exactly what Mo said last week. How many times have we seen this story about Rodgers, RELAX, relax, need to string together wins? I think people are going to be all on board with this, wanting a piece of Green Bay, wanting to will them into the playoffs. And Brett certainly agrees because he is a big fan of the Minnesota Vikings this week.
I am, but for the contest, I wish this was 3 and not 3.5, because I do think there are going to be people on both sides of this, because everybody wants to have an opinion on the Vikings every single week, either side. So I am a little nervous about too many people being on the Vikings here, but you have to buy the Vikings at this discount. You just have to. Like, we've been fading them every single week, and it has, for the most part, worked. But the market has gone too far with this number. Like, the market's telling us that the Packers are quite a bit better than Minnesota to get this through the key number to 3.5. And while I do have Green Bay higher in my ratings, it's really close. And to give this Vikings passing offense more than 3 points against Green Bay, who right now, like, Aaron Rodgers is dealing with all of the old man injuries right now. Like, now he's got a knee injury and he's playing it off like it's nothing, but the dude is just aching out there every single week, limping around. It's impacting him. And they won last week because Tua gifted them 3 interceptions, not because Rodgers torched that defense. The guy hasn't thrown for 300 yards yet this season. This is not a good offense. They've been fine, but it's like, you have to score points against this Vikings team, and I can't trust this team if it finds itself in like a negative game flow. Like, how are they going to keep up with the Vikings if the Vikings march up to like a 17-3 lead? I just don't see it. So I love this spot for the Vikings. I am a little concerned about the leverage or the lack of leverage, but I think you just have to take the Vikes here.
The play that concerned me the most last week was that 4th and short where they went for the splash play. Christian Watson wide open on a deep crosser, and Aaron Rodgers just flat out misses him from a pretty clean pocket. A good look from 12 there, and he just can't put the ball where it needs to be. Now Christian Watson finds himself on the injury report. He's by far the best pass catcher in this offense. But yeah, I'm just going to continue martingaling the stupid Minnesota team until they cover. Mo, you and I were both on the -4 last week. We got kicked in the nuts by 1 point. It's going to come home. Hashtag this is the week
that Christian Watson injury was big for me when I was looking at this game. I mean, dude, the Packers kind of recovering in the middle of the season coincides suspiciously perfectly with Christian Watson becoming an extremely dangerous weapon out wide for them. I don't think they have anyone else that the defense is losing sleep over. Like, defenses have to account for Watson. You do not want to lose track of him and get burned for 90. Which is what's going to happen if you completely blow a coverage against him. So he's a really important weapon for them, and it doesn't look like he's going to play. So that's pretty big for me. I just don't see how you can get this line past 3. I mean, maybe 3, but you just cannot get this line past 3 to me. But I moved this down because I was worried about leverage here. I'm a little worried people are going to be on the Vikings. I'm a little bit with Donnie here. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I can see the Vikings being popular at 3.5 here.
We moved to.
It's a weird week because it's a weird week because like my 2 favorite plays, I know I'm on the wrong side of the leverage, but these numbers are wrong. So it's like I'm just torn because I know leverage is number 1.
Mr.
Right?
Leverage when we need it most. Just
it's hard though because I don't know. I know. I probably made a mistake here putting this on my.
Well, that's okay. But this is why tinkering is okay. If we get to the final segment and I ask you for your pick and you want to tinker, God damn it, tinker. Okay, because it's best.
We also have until Saturday too. So yeah.
Well, yeah, but for the hashtag content,
how many vetoes do I have?
You've got 1 veto. and a free veto on Mo.
I'm blasting it next week regardless, so it's coming.
That's great. We move to Donnie's final Lone Wolf, the Battle of Los Angeles, where the Rams will be technically visiting the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. Look ahead of 8 opened a full touchdown and since moved off it. I saw as low as 6. Circa is hanging 6.5 in the contest, and Donnie thinks that the Rams getting the points are the leverage team in this spot.
Yeah, slight leverage, but I think this is where the leverage will be. It's on the lower half of my whatever leverage spots. Yeah, I think people are just really enamored by the Chargers as of late. I think they're sort of the favorite team going into the playoffs that people want to pick, people want to bet on, people want to back. Brett's been touting them for many weeks. I think that's kind of the sentiment around this contest. So yeah, I'm going to be on the Rams here.
Brett and Mo really wanted to do it. They really wanted to do it. But the Los Angeles Chargers bubbled both of their cards. Rule of nobody lays points in this contest, right, Mo? Who's going to lay 6.5 against a scrappy Baker Mayfield?
The Rams just keep covering too, right? But I think this line is wrong. I mean, I think it's on the wrong side of 7. I think it needs to be at least 7. I mean, 7 is like the bare minimum for me here. I mean, dude, I think the market's giving the Rams credit. Are the Rams getting credit here for beating a Broncos team that quit? They quit. That had nothing to do with the Rams being good. Literally. The Broncos quit.
They were literally done playing football.
They put 50 on them and they quit. And the market's giving them credit for it, I think, here. Because this look-ahead line was, I think it was 8. So... yeah, I think that line's right. The Chargers are a lot better than the Rams, and the Rams don't line up with the Chargers' weaknesses at all. That's a major issue here for me. I mean, they've been getting this done by having Baker Mayfield drop back and make some plays, right? And you got to hammer the Rams, you got to hammer the Chargers up front, and the Rams don't have an offensive line. They don't have an offensive line. How can they run the ball? How are they going to run the ball on this team? So I think this is going to be Baker Mayfield dropping back, being a dolt against a really opportunistic secondary, okay? And I think this could be another one, like I said last week, take over on turnovers. Take over 1.5 Baker Mayfield turnovers plus 200. I think it's coming here.
Brett, pile on. You love the Chargers as well in the spot. Your team
I do.
Cannot quit the Bolts.
They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, my God.
I'm with Mo. This is on the wrong side of 7.
Market.
This is on the wrong side of 7. I capped this at 7.5. I think 8 is fine, too, because the Chargers are just far better than the Rams. They're playing for a lot more right now. And, yeah, off that Rams victory last week, this line moved off the look ahead. That's absurd. And Baker Mayfield in negative script against his pass rush.
Joey Bosa coming back this week, potentially.
Super Bowl. Jesus. Telling you.
No shot. All right, we move to an actual Super Bowl contender.
The Bills make me wanna.
They travel to Cincinnati to take on Joey Covers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Mo, we discussed our process at the top of the show, and at least for Donnie and I, leverage was number 1 with the bullet. The first thing we did is click every leverage side that we saw. So I'm interested to hear what you did in this game in taking the home dog, the Bengals, catching 1 point at home against Buffalo. Do you think there's going to be leverage on the Bengals, or do you simply think this is the correct
I
side?
didn't know what to do with this one. I didn't know which side people in the contest are going to be on. I kind of feel like if there is one, I know that the tickets are coming in on the Bengals, but I kind of feel like fake contest sharps are going to take the discount on Buffalo. I do. So I'm going to take the Bengals when I'm not even sure they should be getting a point. Maybe the line should be pick -1. I mean, it's very close for me with these two teams where this line should be in Cincinnati. So I'm just going to take a point that I'm not sure Cincinnati's going to be getting. And just a spot where I do kind of feel like some people are going to see Buffalo south of 3, and I think they're going to want to click Buffalo. Buffalo's been covering for the most part, even though Josh Allen hasn't looked his best lately. I'm a little worried about him against these safeties. Speaking of ball hawking teams, the Bengals really like to jump some of these routes with their safeties. Their corners are not good, but that's where I do think, like, man, I don't know how Stephon Diggs doesn't get 100 yards this week. That's going to be a prop I look at for sure. But yeah, these safeties are good at jumping routes, and we've seen the Bengals deal with these high volume passing offenses before. You know, they've done well against the Chiefs. And yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's the contest is going to do, and no result really would surprise me in this game. So I guess I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this one.
No, it's a really good point that you bring up, because the last couple of weeks, people have fallen in love with the Bengals. Last week, we identified it as one of the best leverage spots of the season, taking the Patriots at home as home dogs in Foxborough. But what you said about the Bills, I think, is so clear. You did tell us. Once again, Donnie, 3-0 in lone wolf spots with the New England Patriots. Absolute legend. I think you're spot on, though, because I think it's so clear as day that the Bills are the sharp side, laying only a point in this spot, that there are going to be a lot of fake sharps in the contest that end up clicking Buffalo. So I ultimately had this low, and Donnie and Brett both had it quite low as well. Brett's back to putting the Bills last, but Brett, since neither Donnie nor I have a strong opinion, I'd like to hear what you think about your Buffalo Bills matching up with Cincinnati this weekend.
The Bills are a tough cap, because for many weeks now, Josh Allen has been putrid in high leverage. I mean, his performance in inside the 20 has been miserable, which has cost them a lot of points. So that has to regress positively, you would think. But I've been saying that for several weeks now, and he does not look like the player we saw last year and the year before. So that's definitely concerning. That said, he has had games. I mean, that Miami game, he was near perfect, especially in the second half. So it really depends on what type of Josh Allen you're going to get. That's hard to predict at this point. So again, I don't know what to do with the Bills.
We move to Mo's last lone wolf, and the last lone wolf of the segment, and it's appropriate that he is wearing a Kansas City Chiefs hoodie, because he's the only person that didn't buy into the dead cat bounce of firing Mr. Hackett in Denver. I always want to call him, he's Paul Hackett, right? Or is that his father? Did I blow it?
Paul, I want to say Paul coached USC in our
could
youth.
tell by he was an offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, and he was the absolute bleeping worst. There was an old man and his son that used to sit in our section, and they would just scream "F you, Hackett" at least 100 times every game at the old Giant Stadium. But Mo, you're not buying into the dead cat bounce. This was a 10 look ahead, opened 11.5. Went all the way up to 13.5. It's 12.5 in the contest, but you are laying the wood with your beloved Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah,
this is. I think if either of these sides gets clicked in the contest, I think it would be Denver. Rule of nobody lays double digits, right? So I don't think anyone's going to be on the Chiefs. And I'm also just like having a feeling that maybe Denver has just let go of the rope for the season. I mean, they already quit last week. The coach is out the door. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing in this specific spot. Obviously, it's a good thing. Like overall, he was awful. But I could see everyone just calling it a season here in Denver. I absolutely could. In Kansas City, you got a bad offense with a bad quarterback. Yeah, I don't know. These spots tend to be where the Chiefs should roll. We've seen them do this to the Rams earlier this year. But I don't know. I never really trust the Chiefs as double-digit favorites, so I can't really have any conviction in it. But I don't know, man. The only thing that was cooking for Denver was throwing to Jerry Jeudy in that last game. I don't even know if he's going to be on the field for this one. So if he's not, this is like Chiefs by millions.
Donnie, you are the highest on the Denver Broncos. Nobody likes to lay points in this contest, but if you are going to lay points, you should probably do it with the team that's number one in offensive EPA, offensive DVOA, and has the greatest quarterback of all time under center in Canton Patrick, LaVon Mahomes II.
Yeah, I think people are just out on the Broncos, and this is going to be the leverage side here. I mean, I don't know how many people are ultimately going to click this game, so it's higher up on my card, but yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the bunch that I consider leverage. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is the right side in this spot, given that, the Broncos just fired the coach. The Broncos quit last week. The Chiefs look really good going into the playoffs, all that sort of stuff. I think people are just going to side with Kansas City in this spot.
Mo's got such a good point because historically this is a blind click for Denver. You always take the coach, the team that just fired their coach, dead cat bounce. Everyone's pumped. We got the idiot out the door. But they've been in 3-2-1 Cancun for so many weeks now that they might have passed the point of no return. And the fruits of an action like firing the coach just might not be harvested in this scenario. So a tough cap.
Also,
go ahead, Brett.
Who is this guy? Isn't this guy their Madden guy?
Does it matter though? Does it matter? I mean, once we've seen Jeff Monday go out and win pro football games,
he's the guy they hired literally after
how do they...
Hackett made an ass of himself on national TV, right?
Yeah,
literally.
He's the time
He's literally
guy.
The timeout. He's the Madden guy, as Brett said.
But my point is, if you're a player, how do you buy into that decision to put him in charge? Are they going to play for this guy?
I mean, you're still talking about the majority of players in the NFL are always playing for their next contract, right? So for the majority of people that put pads on this Sunday in the NFL, you have to put on good tape because you're probably going to be a free agent and just be unemployed if you don't do so. So there's not a lot of room for
I agree with for sure, but we talk about the Texans every week, professional pride. I don't think you're going to get that with the Broncos. I think they're playing for a job, playing for a contract. I don't think they're playing to win football games.
Well, we shall see. 5 lone wolves, a pair from Mo. He's on the Bengals and the Chiefs, where DP had a trio: Cardinals, Packers, and Rams. Strap in. It's time for some leverage. It's time for the card.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
4-1 last week. Donnie leads the way. He was absolutely correct once again about his New England Patriots. And while he doesn't have the Patriots as his top pick, he has a former coordinator, now head coach, coaching a former quarterback, now playing because Derek Carr was benched. Mo is shaking his head because, Donnie, you put something called Stidham on the card.
You want leverage? I'm going to give you leverage. Who is going to click the Raiders and Stidham?
Absolutely Seriously. Nobody.
No one in a million years is going to click this side.
Nobody. This is Cardinals on Monday night. This is just us. We're on an island.
I didn't want to do it, but I clicked on. I literally put the side I think is the wrong side in my picks because of leverage. I didn't put it in my top 5 because I was a coward, but I really think the 49ers should be double-digit favorites here, but that's why. But I think everyone knows that.
Yeah,
everyone
probably, but who cares? We need the leverage.
Look at Brett's face. No, nobody. This hurts nobody more than Brett Collson, who kneels. He used to have blinders on for Bill. Brett kneels at the altar of the San Francisco 49ers, and it kills him to have something Stidham playing against this defense.
Yeah, I'll just say what he's probably saying. Regular pro quarterbacks are having a tough enough time moving the ball on the 49ers. How is something Stidham going to get a first down?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, and also, are people going to click the Niners here?
I think kind of think they might.
It was still sitting at 9.5.
The Niners just keep rolling people every week.
They steamroll.
It's 9.5 with Brock Purdy, man.
I mean, you guys think McSorley's bad? Wait till you see this idiot play quarterback. I mean, he's awful.
I can't believe the Raiders did this.
The only way they can cover is with a loom. That's it. A loom and hurling the ball to Devontae Adams 33 times.
Well, if there was ever a place for a loom to camp out, it's been Vegas. It's been 2 weeks. I still haven't seen Keelan Coleman bounce. There isn't a single soul that showed it to me. Except for, as Mo put it, the losers on Twitter. That was one of the best rants last week. All right. Something Stidham. A perfect way to start leverage week. We go to Brett next. He was 3-2 last week. He's got a majority pick. At least for now, unless there's been some tinkering. How we doing, Brett?
No tinkering yet. Majority pick, yes. Also, I'm afraid it's going to be a majority pick in the contest. I'm going to think about this one a little bit. For right now, I have the Minnesota Vikings plus 3.5 at Green Bay.
Donnie, how we doing?
I mean, it's all right. Whatever. I mean, hopefully Brett sits on it for about 48 hours and adjusts.
Hashtag adjusting season. Mo's up next. He was 2-3 like me last week, but has a better record overall. His top pick was sniped by the collective, which I think was the most obvious pick of the week. Was my number one with an absolute bullet. So we move to number 2. Once again, Mo Nuwwarah cannot quit clicking this man. You tell the people, Mo, who you are putting on the card.
Potentially, depending on how much Brett and Donnie yell at me for not taking a half-point side. But isn't it massive leverage to click the Bucks this week? Isn't everyone going to have the Panthers +3 covering weekly against an absolute trash bag team with an awful quarterback that hasn't covered in a month? 2 months. I don't know when the last time he covered was.
Sam Darnold, number 1 in the NFL in EPA per play. Absolute legend, Sam Darnold.
This is such a good matchup for the Bucs, though. I mean, all Carolina wants to do is plunge. The Bucs are still a stone wall against the run. I mean, how is this line 3? This line is, I'm going to have to bet real money on the Bucs, unfortunately. Again.
Do that, but we can't put this on the card.
No, you don't think?
Can't put a game with it on the key number.
You can't put a 3-point spread on the card. You just can't do it.
Wait a minute.
This is Bucs going to kick a field goal at the end of the game to win all day.
Definitely, and it's the most common number in football. But is this worse than not taking leverage? I don't know.
It's definitely not.
It's worse.
No,
it's worse.
If you want me to take a half-pointer, my top half-pointer, which is definitely leverage.
That doesn't make the card. Yeah. I was going to switch to this one. I was thinking about switching to this one because I don't have it. Do it. Tell us, if you were to go down and go to your next hook.
It's the Seahawks.
Who would it be? Love it. Absolutely love the Hawks. Everyone, including myself, is fired up that Mike White is back at quarterback for my beloved. And for good reason. Zach Wilson is so bad that something called Strevler went in there and did his best Tim Tebow impersonation, and it looked like, I don't know, Joe Montana
had as many
was
yards in 2 drives as Wilson had the entire game. It's embarrassing.
So for good reason, people are excited about Mike White. But let's pump the brakes a little bit on this Jets team going all the way across the country, being favored against a team that has just as much to play for as the Jets do. And by the way, Saleh is a Pete Carroll disciple. So if anybody knows what Saleh is going to do setting up this team defensively, it's going to be the guy that pretty much invented the cover 3 quarters defense in the modern NFL, and that's Pete Carroll. Geno revenge as well, if you want to go to Narrativeville.
The ultra revenge, the most revenge.
Quadruple circled. Tyler Lockett is likely back.
If Geno has any pull in that locker room at all, this is going to be one of the best efforts of the season from the Seahawks.
Yeah, so I absolutely love this. And since you went there, I'm going to stick with my number 2, and that's the New Orleans Saints. Plus 5.5 against the Eagles, even with Minshew at quarterback. I think people are still going to line up to take a Philly team that was absolutely robbed of a cover last week. I mean, a back and forth game, a game in which the Eagles might have even outperformed the Cowboys. You have the combo of the Miles Sanders fumble, the interception, everything went absolutely right for the Cowboys to have 2 field goal opportunities at the end, as opposed to only having one and then getting the ball and bleeding out the clock and allowing the Eagles to get a cover as dogs in Big D. It's a Saints team that just continues to go out. I mean, last week was about as professional pride as it gets. You go to Cleveland, you have a very slim chance of making the playoffs, and you scrap through feels like minus 20. Bully ball the Browns. Something Taysom, Brett's favorite, out here, even though his rushing total soared through the roof, it closed like something insane, like 60. He still cleared it, right? It was like 50 or 60, and he cleared it. No problem. So yeah, give me the Saints getting a bunch of points here. People are going to be comfortable laying the wood with the birds. And we get the team, Brett, that has kicked us in the nuts repeatedly. How perfect would it be? Week 17, one more nut kick from New Orleans.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I like this side too. We're hoping for Hurts, right?
We're hoping. Well, if it's Hurts, we hope they announce it tomorrow.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think so. I think it's Minshew all the way. It's a pointless game, right? Which I think plays in our favor a bit. If the Eagles keep it off the break a little bit, take this game a little less serious.
It's already at 6.5 now. We're getting 5.5 in the contest.
That's good.
People got that excited for Hurts doing whatever Rich said. Did one sliding drill.
Yeah, went out there and swung his arm in a circle probably.
Yeah, did one sliding drill and they called him a participant. I mean,
that's the rule, right? All you have to do is do one drill once and you're a participant in practice. So yeah, I love the Saints. I'm happy it's up to 6.5. I didn't know that. That makes me even happier. That means we're more likely to get some leverage. All right, the collective pick, the most obvious pick this week.
The Bills make...
That's the wrong button. It's not the Bills. Hashtag fix it.
The collective chooses the Baltimore Ravens.
Who is taking Caleb Huntley as a favorite in this spot?
not only is nobody really doing that, I don't think, but I think the Steelers are going to be very, very popular.
The market has loved Pittsburgh these last couple of weeks. I'm seeing a 26% ticket count on the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, was that because Lamar was supposed to be back this week? I don't know what to make of that.
If Lamar was supposed to be back, then people would be piling Baltimore at this number.
But yeah.
The Steelers have covered like...
What are you trying to say?
5 of the last 6 weeks or
Brett.
something.
Well, no, because didn't this open at like 5.5?
I see 4.
And then people started...
I see 4 as an opener.
People started piling Pittsburgh because there was news that Lamar might not be back this week.
And he's not back, right? He's out. He's not playing.
Right. So that's why the ticket count is high on the Steelers.
And also why people are going to click Pittsburgh. This Ravens... I mean, we talk about it every week when they were making this Ravens team for some reason -8 when nobody was moving the ball for Baltimore.
Football Outsiders is sticking to their guns. Called them one of the big 7
just 8th
this week.
Yeah. Oh, 6th in overall DVOA. I mean, they're
finally moved the Chiefs past them.
I mean, they're 10th in net EPA per play. They're 10th in net EPA per play. They still have a positive net yard per play on the season. Just a bizarre year where they get out to all these double-digit leads to start the season, blow them, and then the computers love them and they make them minus infinity every game and they can barely get to 2 touchdowns. I mean, yeah, people are just as this is the same thing as Rodgers, right, Donnie? Where people want to bet Rodgers, they want to be a part of the Packers playoff run. They want to be a part of this Tomlin gets above 500 thing. I'm very sure of that.
People love the Steelers. They love the Pickett story. They love the fact that they won on Frank O'Hara's the anniversary or whatever that was last week. Like they love it all.
Anniversary.
They love it all. It's insane.
I guess it was an anniversary of the Immaculate
celebration.
Reception.
You know what I mean? Sorry. Yeah, the anniversary of the
celebration.
Immaculate
We're going
Reception.
backwards now.
You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not the best with words right now.
I'm just busting your balls. Brett, you seem pensive, even though this was your second pick.
No, I love this.
Okay.
This is capping for kickers.
Ooh,
Anytime you can get the Ravens as an underdog or as a home favorite short of 3 against a bad team, you have to pile the Ravens because Harbaugh will get them there. He's going to keep them in the game, and then Tucker can drill it from 65 if it comes down to it at home. Like, this is just the easiest cap. It's Harbaugh and Tucker at home, south of 3. That's it.
It's still a bad quarterback on the road. I know people are getting excited for Pickett. He's still bad. Okay, I watched a lot of that Steelers game. Everything he completed was from like dream pockets. That's not going to happen against Baltimore.
They scored 13 points.
Yeah, against the dirtbag
People
Raiders.
were out here acting like he scored 40.
And it took a monumental effort for them. Oh my, we haven't even touched upon this. Poor Mad Dog 2. For those of you that don't know, that weren't following along.
Oh my God, this thing.
Circa Survivor. It was absolute chaos last Sunday, where entering the day, I believe there were 13 people remaining.
14, I think.
14. One fella, Mad Dog 2, had the Vikings. Everybody else got dusted. And then 3 people had the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Mad Dog 2 was 90 seconds away from being the lone winner in the 2022 Circa Survivor for $6.1 million. And not only did the Steelers come back to win the game, next day, because Christmas was an island slate, Mad Dog clicked the greatest football team, Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team, and saw his equity evaporate to 0. Unbelievable. 24 hours for my guy.
Do people think about the swings when they sign up for this contest?
No.
Because it is absurd late in the year how much money can swing one way or another.
I think the highest
but
I think the highest win percentage
do you think about it?
was 80%. Sorry, Donnie. So the guy literally
yeah.
2.5 million or no, 80%. 80% of 6 is 4.5 million. Sorry. Around there. In equity. And poof, just gone. Go ahead, Donnie.
Like, if you can't handle that, then you probably shouldn't sign up for this contest.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I was also going to say, like, how many people hedge and when do they start hedging? And what are they hedging for?
Yeah, what money?
I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I think we're in the position that we know enough people that we could get a lot of money together pretty quickly.
Yes.
Right.
I can't wait.
Okay.
That's all I want.
Making
all
our hedge
I want is $1 million
possibilities
on a straight bet. I just want $1 million on a straight bet once in my life. That's all I want.
Call Benson. Benson.
Get Benson. Yeah. I mean, let's make it happen.
But like, if you're just like a regular guy who took $1,000 shot, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. You got
Maybe
no
you're
shot.
going through a proxy. You're out of state. Like, you can't even get here. You can't get the money together. Like,
you're gonna drive to the local shoe, and they're gonna look at you like you have 15 heads. All right. So the card. The collective has the Ravens. I've got the Saints. Brett's got the Vikings. DP has the Raiders, and Mo has the Seahawks. Geno Smith. Something Stidham. Kirk Cousins. Andy Dalton / Taysom Hill. Got to give Taysom some love. And Caleb Huntley. I've said it so many times. I don't even know who the quarterback is on the Ravens. Who is it? What's the guy's name? Huntley. Todd Huntley.
It is something Snoop.
Snoop.
It's Snoop. That's right. SNOOP. Brett, you were going to say you're tinkering.
I am tinkering. If I take Cousins off, it's going to be Nick Foles.
I was going to go there because we've got a couple of consensus picks. We have 8 consensus picks. So it's a segment that Mo likes to call "Where were you guys at on ... And we have to start with Saint Nick Foles, and the Indianapolis Colts. Mo, cover your ears because everybody has the Colts in their top 5 because you absolutely have to. Because who is going to click Nick Foles after that performance in prime time? The Giants cannot be laying 5.5 with the offense that they have. I understand the biggest fear. I've heard it a million times this week from every fake sharp out there. The Giants are number 1 in pressure rate, and that's terrifying with Nick Foles. 1,000%. But that's why everybody's going to click the Giants, and you absolutely have to click the Colts here.
The number 1 in pressure rate because they blitz more than anybody else in the league.
You get there. If you get there, then it's fine to blitz. It's the teams that blitz a lot and don't generate pressure that can get themselves into trouble. But Brett, what would make you pivot to Nick Foles?
Because the leverage is the main reason. I mean, I think we will get leverage on the Colts here. I need the Giants to win this game badly for my season overs, like badly.
You fired alternates. You got greedy and
I fired
alternates.
Alternates. Yeah, over 8, and I've got a pretty penny on the over 8. So this game, actually, I need the Giants badly in this spot, but I can't back them over 3.5 against a defense that can get home. Like, Daniel Jones has been better at protecting the ball this season, and surely a lot of that is due to Brian Dable and his coaching staff, but he still has that Daniel Jones in him. And like on the other side of the ball, like as bad as the Colts are running the football with Zach Moss, why can't they just run straight here? Shorten this game, keep Foles from doing Nick Foles things. The Giants have some huge injuries on that defensive line that completely changed the makeup in this game. I think Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams are both questionable. So I mean that's huge. So I hate to say it, but I might actually bet the Colts money line here, and not to hedge, but because I think that's the right side. I love the Colts in this spot.
Well, it sounds like you should be doing some tinkering then. DP, this is a massive leverage spot. Who is clicking Nick Foles?
Yeah, great leverage spot. I agree with Brett that I probably would be on the Colts in general. I'm not sure I would have them this high, but the leverage is just going to be great. No one's going to click this thing. But you can't lay points, this many points with the Giants. You can't do it. The Colts have a good enough defense here.
And Mo knows you can't. He couldn't put the Colts high at all, but he knows you can't click the Giants. You absolutely know.
The total's 38.5, I think.
You know you can't click the Giants. The other consensus, we have 2 more that we did not discuss. Browns Commanders. Everybody clicked the Browns. I was interested in this one because after last week where everybody clicked the Browns, it seems like a tailor-made spot that they're going to be scorn lovers and click the opposite side and take the Commanders. That was basically my cap when it comes to leverage. And the Browns obviously have nothing to play for, eliminated from the playoffs. Deshaun Watson has been an absolute puke at quarterback. But you've got guys like Chubb coming out and saying that they're playing this game 100% full go. I was the highest on the Browns, yes, by a very large margin. So let's go to the final consensus game where people had an opinion, and that is, once again, the greatest football team.
Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team.
Everybody had the Dolphins, nobody higher than Mo. Rule of no hook, though, Mo. I think that's why we all had it lower.
This one scared me because of that, and because I kind of feel like people know that it's a good buy low spot on the Dolphins, don't they? I mean, why do we care that Tua's out? Just put Teddy in. He's going to do the same thing. This is an idiotic line. I'm definitely betting Miami. But yeah, I just am a little worried people are also going to take Miami. And yeah, I don't like the number either just because it's an even number and it's 3, which is obviously what had me worried about the Bucks too. Like you said, Rich, it is still the most common finishing margin. So I don't understand why Miami is getting 3 here, though. I mean, all I could think of when I was staring at this line, thinking about how decent Teddy is, and just thinking of all I had was Donnie yelling in my ear about how piss poor this Patriots team and this garbage Patriots staff is against McDaniel, who is actually sharp. Like, yeah, good luck.
You got to sing it like Donnie. They blow. Donnie's favorite line. Yeah, I wanted to bring this game up because it's my favorite spot of the week. This is Dolphins +3. This is Dolphins money bet line. This is a smash spot for Miami, coming off of infinite losses 4 straight losses. Tua throwing picks while he's literally concussed, right? A Packers team that, despite getting handed the ball multiple times, was still that close to losing to Tua. And the Dolphins, Teddy's going to be able to operate within this offense. McDaniel's going to call the plays that Tua can execute. And I'll say it again, while the Patriots certainly have a strength defending the boundaries, the Dolphins do an excellent job of getting their guys inside and creating space for them. So it's not going to matter that the Patriots have great cover corners. The Dolphins are going to find a way to get them open in space and make big plays. The Dolphins are going to win this game. I'm very, very confident of that. Donnie, put a pin on your New England Patriots.
They suck. What do you want me to say? They're so bad. But I do think, I think the leverage here will be probably coin flippy. I think there's enough people that are going to be like, oh, Bill Belichick versus a backup quarterback, and kind of side there. But I agree. I think this is a pretty smash spot for the Dolphins overall. But because it's on 3, we can't put it on the card in the contest, unfortunately. But I will be like you guys and betting real money on this game.
As a Jets fan, we need it. Got to win out. Need the Patriots to lose 1 game. I will be at, tickets have been purchased. I will be at Dolphins at Jets, week 18. Fingers crossed. It is Sunday Night Football for it all. I've been to 2 of those games.
If the Patriots win this game, they've only beaten 1 starting quarterback all season.
That's amazing, but I believe it.
How insane is that?
And it's Zach Wilson, right? They beat him twice.
I'm pretty sure it's Zach Wilson. Yeah. And he's horrible. He shouldn't even be the backup to the backup.
Mark it. It is. Yeah, he's not even a backup. I will be in attendance. I've been to 2 of these games in my life. Win and you're in. The first one was Packers at Jets, 2001. My dad and I were at the stadium with a television this big that had an antenna, and we were watching Dolphins Patriots. We needed Adam Vinatieri to kick a game-winning field goal against the Dolphins to make it win the division for us. During the game, in overtime, Vinatieri kicks the game winner. People are huddled over us watching this little TV. Pockets of the stadium learn at the same time. Whole stadium goes nuts. I think the Jets won 41-17 against the Packers. It was an absolute roll show against Brett Favre. The next week, Peyton Manning comes to town.
Was Vinny Testaverde the starting quarterback?
I believe it was Chad at this point. Poor Chad Pennington. Yeah, it was Chad, 100%. And then next week, we host the Colts. We put up another 40 spot and shut them out. 41-0 was the wild card score. And then the last one I went to, Jets hosting the Bengals, week 17, win and you're in. Beat the piss out of the Bengals, and then we played the Bengals in the playoffs next week in Cincy, beat the piss out of them again. So I'm confident if we can get this win against Seattle, but this Seattle game terrifies me 100%. This has the landmine blow up all over it. And that's the card. That's week 17. Need some leverage. Need 5-0. Need a sweat. That's what we're asking for. Just a little sweat in week 18. Don't want to be TJ Cloutier. Could be drawn dead. Nobody gets the references, Brett, but it's the hour 10 mark, and I really don't give a damn.
It could be drawn dead.
All right, for these guys, follow them on Twitter at Brett Collson, COLLSON, at Mo Nuwwarah, NUWWARAH, at Donnie_Peters. I'm at Rich T. Ryan. We'll be back next week. Best of luck to you and your betting ventures. Until then, peace.